Hi, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the National Fishing Expo. In the booth with me right now is somebody that you need to meet. Now, those of you who know me know I was with Strike King for a long time, running on musky spinner baits and what have you. But the gentleman with me, he is one of the people who built Strike King. By that I mean he is one of the talents that brought Strike King to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, say hi to Shaw Grigsby. Good morning, Shaw. How you
Good morning.
doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
What's Shaw doing these days?
Well, I'm still fishing. I fished the Major League Fishing. It's called the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals this season. So, it's just still love competition. I love fishing. I don't think I'll ever give it up. I'm one of the most blessed men in the world to be able to make a living doing something you truly love doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are also one of the most talented men in the world.
I
You are
don't know
seriously.
about
No, no,
that.
no. Seriously, you are a visual fisherman. You have always leaned on your ability to sight things, to
Yeah.
see things, and it's an incredible deal. I've got people who fish muskies with me. I'll see a muskie come in from 15, 20 feet away, and they go, "How in the world did you see that? How did you see that?"
Right,
And
right.
it's just a matter of good optics and being aware of what you're looking for. You know as well as I do. Sylvia James, okay? Sylvia James and I were sitting one day talking, and Sylvia says, Shaw Grigsby was over in Nevada on a lake, and he was running up the lake, and he saw bait fish that nobody else even saw. So you have definitely got eyeballs, eagle eyes.
Well, I used to have really, really good vision when I was younger, like
Yeah.
2010, and so you could see clearer, farther, and all that. Now it's kind of normal, and actually I have to wear glasses on everything, so
Yeah.
to be able to see things close and all. But that's age. Age
That's
gets
age.
to you.
That's age.
But I did even at Okeechobee last week. We just finished the first Tackle Warehouse Invitational tournament down at Okeechobee, and so it's spawn time, and the water's real high and dark, and I really didn't see fish spawning, so I fished normal, and just throwing thunder crickets and ochos and that type of stuff. So just striking, having fun,
Yep.
and the last day they just didn't bite. I didn't get any bites, and I started sight fishing and caught a limit off of beds in water that you can't hardly see. So I guess I still can see a
You can
little bit,
still see
a
him.
little bit, a
You
little
can,
bit. Yeah.
let's dig in a little bit. You know, there's a lot of people out there that would love to tournament fish who have some skill sets. What's the single thing a person should develop, in your opinion, if it's going to be tournament fishing in their future?
I I think they really should work on number one, being versatile. Don't pigeonhole yourself into just being one deal. Now I can tell you, and I learned a lot. Denny Brower, one of the most incredible anglers to ever live. He was one. In fact, he probably was the single best flipper that we ever had.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you take Denny Brower, and when he was in any other tournament uh, where it was just a spinnerbait type deal or buzz baits or whatever, he could catch them. But when it went to a flipping tournament, he'd win.
He'd win it.
He'd win it. And so you can have your technique. Like for me, it was sight fishing. I could win on a sight fishing tournament. Um, and I did win a spinnerbait tournament, so I've done a little bit of that too. But the point being is that so if you're really good at one technique, that's okay.
Yeah.
But you need to learn and be pretty good at everything else. And I think nowadays it's so amazing to watch this sport grow and to know, like, I even up to maybe 10 years ago, I'd have people ask me, "Did you ever get a real job?" And you're still considered a kind of a bum because you're fishing, and that's what I was considered when I was younger and I was fishing all the time. It's like, dude, you need to get a job, and so now you have junior angler clubs, you have high school clubs competing, you have college scholarships, so you get
Yes.
full ride college scholarships to fish
Yes, you
and
do.
and to be on a fishing team, and then you go from there to being a professional, and it's an incredible adventure. So when you come out of college, you were probably at the level I was after 2 or 3 or 4 years on professional
On the
tour,
circuit. Yep.
and you may be farther along than that because you've had so much tournament experience. So it's really an amazing thing for the youngsters nowadays to be able to get out there and do it. But they are so well versed in electronics, which is very important. being able to use the new technology of the forward-facing sonar, the side scans, the 360s, all the different views that you have, being able to pick it out and then working baits to get them to eat. So being versatile, I think, will help you achieve your goal. And of course, if you can be really good at one technique, that means you win. And wins, no matter what you do, you can be consistent and make a very good living. But you win, and that's the pinnacle.
The win is the catapult. That's
right.
what puts you on top. You mentioned the different series of fishermen coming up. I've got grandkids. My sons are both obviously very good fishermen. Fact is, I think you've met my oldest son, Mike. But the truth of the matter is they have now brought that knowledge that they have to their kids, and their kids are fishing the high school level. My grandkids are.
Wonderful.
We're actually taking our big setup here into one of their high school tournaments next year, and we're going to have the drive-up weigh-in. We're going to do everything just like it were a pro event, and let these kids experience some of that excitement, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, it truly is. I can just tell you that there's no better place for youngsters to be than be out in the outdoors, be exposed to real life,
Yep.
right? Because what they usually get nowadays is in computers. It's
Yep.
computers, computer games, cell phones, instantaneous junk that's right here, rather than being out and being able to experience, watching an osprey dive in and catch a fish. Rather than seeing it on video, you're seeing it in real action, and you get to see all the cool interactions that go on. So being out in there in the environment and enjoying what God gave us is like the best.
I totally agree. They cannot exist in a virtual world.
Right.
You cannot learn how to fish in a book. You cannot, even though you can accelerate your skills, you cannot learn watching a video. You cannot learn until you get in the boat. You have to go out, feel it, touch it, smell it, taste it. That's really what you have to, and you've been really good at that.
Well, I tell you what's cool is that there is a feel, that your fingers, your hands, you have a bait, you have a rod and reel, and you have a bait, and you're working that bait, and there is a feel to that bait. You can't get that virtually, but you have a feel of that. When that feel changes, that means something's happened. That means the fish has got a hold of it, or you bumped into a log or stump. Learning that little subtleties that you have, and so I've always recommended for people to hold their rod and reel loosely, not gently. Don't grip it real tight. If you're having to grip it tight, then you lose some of your sensitivity. But having that sensitivity to where you can work it, you can feel what that bait's doing, then when a fish hits it, then you start catching a lot more fish than when you mess up and you go, oh, I missed that one. He pulls you down, you didn't feel it. You're like, oh my goodness.
You have to be able to feel what's going on in fishing.
Right.
I know that I love crankbait fishing, and David Fritz is a real good friend of mine, and David Fritz and I spent many times talking about crankbait fishing, and he and I both agree that you'll find that you feel a bass push a crankbait before it ever hits it.
Yeah.
And people look at you and say, they'll do what? They'll do what? No, they will. They'll cause a disturbance behind your bait, which will deflect the action, and you'll feel it. And I have caught so many big bass, all of a sudden you go like this because you know something, and you drop it back and boom, you own them.
Yeah,
you own them.
That's exactly right.
And it's a throat fish. It's a throat fish. It's not a lip fish.
that feel, you can only get that by doing it. You can only get that by being out on the water. So spend a lot of time on the water, and this is another thing. I love Denny Brower. So Denny Brower, he says his son Chad wanted to fish for a living. He said, Chad, you get a degree first, and then I'll do everything I can to help you. So what Chad did was go to college. He got a degree, but when he'd get off of school for the summer, he would guide all summer. So now he's on the water. He's learning. When you go day after day after day, you learn how fish transition, how they move, how they change because of this weather condition and that weather condition, and you're having to keep up with it because somebody's paying you right then. And so that's the most stress that I ever had was guiding. I'm like, no. But anyway, yes, because they're paying you right then. So but as soon as he did, he graduated college, then he went pro, and he won a BASS tournament, national tournament. He's a great young man. He's gone back to teaching and all now, but but he has that backup.
Yep,
So,
yep.
you know, he decided to spend his time with his family rather than being on the road, because
It is on the road.
Life of a professional fisherman is on the road without your family.
That is one thing people don't understand. I did television for over 35 years,
Right.
and 160 days of the year on the water, and another 60 days of the year at sport shows.
Right.
It is, it is a road life.
It's a grind.
No, it is a grind, no
It's a
doubt about it.
big grind, yeah.
Back on the tournaments, where are you headed? What's going on?
Well, my next one's at Clark's Hill, so we'll fish that end of February, beginning of March. Then I think we have the Red Crest that I'll go to. It'd be a big show. You know, it's like the Bassmasters Classic, and then we have the Bassmasters Classic, and then I have another tournament out in Oklahoma at Eufaula, Oklahoma. Now, believe this, I have fished almost 40 professional years. I'm talking full time. This is 39, next year's 40. And I've never been on Eufaula, Oklahoma.
Never been there.
Never been. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic to actually find a lake that you haven't fished in.
Yeah, and you get a chance to go unpeel it.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
one layer
Learn it
after the
from
next. Oh my goodness. Hey folks, I want to say thanks to Shaw Grisby for coming on. You know, like I said, we both shared the Strike King brand. I shared it for a while. He still shares it today. And some of the powers at Strike King that we both know have moved on to other things in life. It's a great industry, and you meet great people, and Shaw's one of those people. So do me a favor, if you're ever out, you hear Shaw Grisby's on the roster for a seminar, speaking, or whatever the case may be, take the time to go meet him. Take the time to go see him, because this man has experience and he's willing to share it. Shaw, again, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.